Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. With this slump that I'm on, the slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Bettor Off Dead, NFL Week 3. I don't know what else to say about this, man. I got my awesome shirt on right now. You can read it. It's very related to my intro here. Nate, what's up, man? What happened with Oklahoma? I know that in my pick'em games that I'm in, I had Auburn plus the 6.5. I don't know what the fuck happened in that game. I think it was another bullshit game, right? Oh, yeah, great. It was a safety at the very end of the game, right? So Oklahoma had no business covering that. Yeah, I guess thanks for reminding me. It wasn't one of my plays, at least, this time. It was a close game, it looks like, statistically. Losing a cover on a safety, though, I mean, that is some bullshit. Yeah, but what did Auburn take the safety intentionally? Like, what even was it? I didn't see the end of that game. I don't know. I didn't have it on. Seems like some real bullshit, though, and that pisses me off because I had Auburn with the 6.5 number, so it wound up being a 7-point, final score there. I had Auburn in like the ESPN pick'ems. They weren't in my pick 6, like money pool, pick 7, whatever. I didn't have them. Although I only went 4-3 in those. But I mean, if you grind in those and you're up most weeks, I mean, they go all right. Like obviously, all my picks today were in those games as well. And then I had a few extra ones. We did well today, by the way. We had a 5-2 day. We're only 2-2 in college football, and I think we still wound up ahead in college football because we had 2 outright underdog money line cashes. So I think that actually put us up in college football, and then I went 3-0 in baseball. So in college football, we had Miami, Ohio was total bullshit. I don't know if you saw that. Miami, Ohio was winning that game by multiple scores almost the entire way, and then they wound up losing right at the end by 3 points. I think the only time they were not covering that game was the final score. Of course, I did mention with the 2.5, I didn't love the fact that the number was 2.5. I still thought it was a great play, though. I thought they were going to win the game outright. I love that setup with the inverted bye scenario. I mean, you can go watch my analysis of it if you want. But Miami, Ohio, they were out to a 14-0 lead right away. They were winning by 14, by 10 throughout the entire game. I'm like, all right, this is going to win. And then meanwhile, at the same time, Memphis started out decent. I think they were winning outright 10-7 at the beginning of the game. We had them +7, and then all of a sudden they're down 28-10. They give up 21 unanswered points, and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go 1-1 in these two, which we did, but it was the exact opposite games that I thought it was going to be, as Miami, Ohio wound up being the loss right at the end, losing by a half point, losing by 3, and then Memphis won outright. So that was one of the big ones. Memphis with a huge comeback, and then they win the game outright by 1 point at the end. So we got that done. Kennesaw State, that was one with less drama. That was a winner. I mean, they were winning outright, I think, the whole game. They wound up winning outright. So we got that cover and outright underdog win. And then Florida did not get there. Florida, I mean, they definitely got outplayed statistically, although I told you I thought their defense was going to hold them in the game. They needed to score more on offense, obviously. I mean, I thought they would be able to score against Miami's defense a bit. The game was low scoring, which is what you want when you have an underdog, and it was 13-7 with 4 minutes left in the game. Florida was within 6 points with 4 minutes left. And yeah, I mean, Miami got into field goal range, so you knew they were going to kick a field goal. And then it's like, okay, Florida's got to drive now. They're down 2 scores. So Florida, if they drove and they kicked a field goal to get 1 score on the board, then they would at least win the game. But I think they turned it over, and then Miami scored again, and then that was the end of it. I don't know what exactly happened there, but the game was a lot closer than the final looked. At least the score was way closer in the final minutes, so that pissed me off. Baseball was pretty good, though. I mean, basically no sweat on either of the first 5 unders. A's, Pittsburgh, and Toronto, Kansas City. I think both games went under full game as well, but the first 5s went over, and then the Red Sox made me sweat a little bit. They had the lead in the game. It looked like it was going to be over. It looked like the game was going to be over, I should say. The Red Sox were up 1-0 really early. Then it was 1-1 for a while. They took a 3-1 lead, I think, into the 7th or maybe even the 8th inning, whatever it was. So I'm thinking, all right, Red Sox, they have their better relievers available. They should get this done. Tampa tied the game 3-3. Excuse me. And then luckily for us, the Red Sox put up 3 runs, I believe, in the top of the 9th inning to push it to 6-3 and get that win and get out of there with the win. So we got that win. Let's talk NFL, man. So it was a good day overall, though. 5-2, I'll take that, and a little bit of extra bonus with the money line cashes in football. Not bad. Oh wait, best bets. What am I doing? No, we're not doing best bets. We're doing the breakdown. I've got 3 NFL plays, man. I'm going to talk about the rest of these games here. We're going to run through the entire NFL card because that's what we do here. Nate, thanks for hanging out. You're the only one right now. Hopefully we get some more people. Late night degenerate hours. They're showing the Oklahoma win right now just to rub it in my face on ESPN right now. They're just showing the ending to the game, so that's great. The game I have on over there right now, I think, is the Colorado game, which, by the way, Colorado was one of my survivor picks. I'm in a money college football survivor pool where it works the same way as NFL. You just have to make 2 picks every week instead of 1. So my picks this week were, I'm alive, obviously. Colorado's one of my 2, and I think I had Mississippi State as the other one, which they already won. Colorado, last I saw, was up 21-3, so they just need to win the game outright. It's just obviously you can't pick the same team again, but I look at the upcoming schedules, man, like the rest of the year. I'm like, yeah, this is the spot to use Colorado and whatever, so even though I didn't necessarily like them to cover the spread, I'm like, yeah, all right. Hopefully they'll win the game outright. We could talk about Survivor in NFL too. So I don't know. We'll see. Charles, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Let's get into it, man. Charles, you didn't miss anything yet. Let's go in order of the board like I usually do. I also have the look-ahead lines up here from so the look-ahead lines, I always use the look-ahead lines in the NFL as a bit of a gauge. Basically, this is what was the line before last week's games were played, so you can kind of gauge, like, how did the line move. So, like, Bills were a 10.5-point favorite before last week's games were played, and then they went into Thursday night actually up to about a 12-point favorite. So the line did move a little bit, and you want to kind of check that. Like, was there a reason for that line to move that much? And in that case, I would say there wasn't, and the Dolphins did get the cover. I did say I leaned that way, even though I thought it was going to be a lower-scoring game, but the Dolphins did cover. So Colts-Titans. Colts are up from 2 to 4.5 here, man, which to me that seems like too much of a move on the Colts, to be honest, man. I don't see I don't see much of a reason for that. Like, I don't think there's really any huge injury. I think Tennessee, it looks like Sweat might not play. He's one of their better defensive players. They got him from the Eagles. But that's not going to move the line multiple points like that just for one defensive end or whatever being out. So I think this line is a little bit of a I think it moved too much. Colts are a 2-point favorite on the look ahead. So actually, I think we're seeing, just like last week, I think the opening number in some of these cases was the look ahead. This is up to 4.5. We do see 69% of tickets on the Colts, 80% of the cash on the Colts, though some money's coming in on the Colts. I don't really think I can agree with the Colts here. The Colts are my team, of course. Well, not of course, because I am from Boston, but I turncoated on the Patriots because I didn't like Belichick or Brady. I was a Peyton Manning fan, so I latched onto the Colts. Colts are off to a 2-0, kind of a surprise start. But because of that is the case, and now they're facing their first road game of the season. Tennessee really hasn't shown anything yet. I get that, but to me, I mean, I think it just kind of looks too easy to take the Colts. So I understand the money's coming in on them. It looks like for now at least, but they're a public road favorite here, man. So I would lean to the home underdog. Home underdogs have not done that well generally in the NFL recently, but I believe in the first several weeks of the season, home underdogs actually do pretty well in recent history, which is going to bode well for a couple of my plays today, I think, because I think I have at least two of them. Arcade, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. So I do lean to Tennessee in this one, plus the points, man. And also one thing to be aware of is that 0-2 teams straight up, they actually cover at a pretty good rate in week 3 as well. I don't have the number in front of me, but that is the case. And I think it becomes even better when it's a 2-0 team against an 0-2 team, because it's like, you're almost never going to get value on that 2-0 team when they're playing an 0-2 team, because who's going to want to play the 0-2 team, right? And people are just kind of overreacting to a small sample size early in the season. So I do think Tennessee is the right side. And by the way, in this division, the underdog covered 11 of the 12 games last year. So that's something to consider. The underdogs were hitting at a ridiculous rate just in the divisional games in the AFC South last year. Although I think there is one trend that goes against Tennessee here. I think they haven't covered, what is it? I forget what it is exactly. I think Indy's covered like a bunch of games in a row against them. I think maybe 8 in a row. So that seems wrong to me, but I heard somebody say that stat. So you might have to double check that one. Indy. Now, I could see this going both ways with Indy, though, because they beat Denver last week. And for people who didn't see that, it came down to the final. It came down to a field goal at the end of the game. The Indy won on a field goal, but they actually re-kicked the field goal because Denver got called for leverage, and the initial field goal attempt was a miss. And then leverage got called, and then that moved the field goal closer, and then Indy kicked the field goal to win. People were saying it was not the correct call, leverage, because leverage means the defense, it's illegal to have a defender get on top of another defender to try to get more leverage to try to block a kick, which I don't really think Denver did. I mean, I think it was kind of a BS call, and I am saying that as a fan of the Colts, and I had the Colts in Pick'em last week, so I could see that going both ways because it was a dramatic win for Indy against a Denver team that did beat them last year during the regular season, but Indy's probably hearing all week oh, Indy deserved to lose that game. They shouldn't have won that game. When a team wins on a BS call like that, it can kind of motivate that team going into the next week to some extent because they're just hearing all week oh, that team shouldn't have won. So maybe that will motivate Indy a little bit potentially. But it is still their first road game. That can be a little bit difficult, although it's less difficult when it's a division game. I mean, they play at Tennessee every year, so that they have to kind of dial it back on how difficult that is a little bit. But value-wise, I think the value is with taking the points with Tennessee in that one. Not going to be a play for me, though. Falcons-Panthers will be a play for me, so I'll give that out at the end of the show. You probably already know what it is. Raiders at the Washington Redskins. This is a weird matchup. I mean, it's one of those interconference matchups where these teams don't play each other very often, so a lot of times the home team is kind of the way you want to look in games like this. I talk about this the out-of-conference road games matter the least on a team's schedule because the in-conference records are what the tiebreakers come down to. So sometimes you do want to look to that out-of-conference home team. Now, we have an interesting scenario in this game where Washington is going to be without Jaden Daniels in this game. So that's why the line, which initially was 5.5, I think it might have actually been 6.5 on the look ahead. Actually, it was 6, it looks like. It dropped to 3, and that's because Jaden Daniels is out. 55% of tickets, 67% of the cash on Washington now, though. Washington, they do have extra time off. We saw them on Thursday night, and they didn't look very good. They got shut down by Green Bay, and they actually got shut down worse than it looks like on the scoreboard because they actually scored a garbage time touchdown at the end to make it look a little bit closer than it was. So I was right about Green Bay in that one. But coming off kind of an ugly game like that, even though it was a big game, extra time off. I think the extra time off will help Washington here in this one. But because Jaden Daniels is out, I actually like Washington even more because Jaden Daniels is out because I think you get value. So I explain this. I feel like I have to explain, talk about this every week almost in the NFL. It's the injured player theory. So when a star player for a team goes down, that only in the first game without that player, the team knows they have to step up their game without him. So the team plays a little bit extra hard for that reason, but also you get line value. So the line usually overreacts and moves too much. And I know like 2.5, 3-point line move actually doesn't seem like that much of an overreaction. You think that with Jaden Daniels, the line would actually move a little bit more than that, but you are on the key number 3 now. So laying 3, I think I would lean that way with Washington. I don't think it's going to be a huge downgrade, to be honest, from Jaden Daniels to Marcus Mariota, who I know he hasn't been that good in the NFL, but I think this is a decent system for him. He played a little bit last year in this system too. Jaden Daniels, I think, was injured a little bit last year. So Mariota does know the system. He's gotten into games with the system, but this is a system that kind of revolves around like having a dual threat quarterback, essentially, and Mariota is one. So I think he can go, he can get in there and sub in fairly well there. And the Raiders are actually on a short week. So they kind of really draw the short end here. They had a big divisional game on Monday night, and I thought it was a great spot for the Raiders, and they just could not get any offense together there. That was a big game for them against the Chargers, and now on a short week, they have to go to an unfamiliar venue. So, yeah, I would lean to Washington in this game. I'm actually almost convincing myself to play Washington in this one. I think Washington is the right side in that game, even though I don't think Washington is as good as they were last year, or as good as people even necessarily think. Packers versus the Clowns, the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to give out a play on that at the end of the show, too. Still in the 1 p.m. slate here, Bengals-Vikings. This is one of the weirdest games on the slate, man. And this is one of those out-of-conference road games for the Bengals. So I kind of start the handicap by saying, okay, that means maybe I want to look towards the Vikings here. The way this sets up is kind of ridiculous. We do see the Vikings up from 1.5 to 3 here, and the line has moved. So the opener, I think, was Vikings maybe, yeah, it was, I thought it was 1. It was 1.5, it looks like there, according to CBS. But the reason for the line move is because actually both teams in this case have an injured quarterback. So you have to really try to figure out what that's going to mean for this handicap here. The Vikings, the odds makers are basically telling you they think that the drop-off in the Bengals quarterback, which is Joe Burrow, being replaced by Jake Browning, the odds makers are actually telling you, based on this move, that they think that's more of a significant drop-off than J.J. McCarthy dropping down to Carson Wentz. And I agree with the odds makers in that assessment. So I think that line move was actually about what it should have done. I think it was about accurate. So I actually do lean to the Vikings in this game, which I'll explain further in a second. But at 3, I'm not really so sure I'd really want to lay that, though, the 3. Like, if it was below 3, maybe. I'd definitely be considering it as one of my plays. 52% of tickets are on the Vikings, 51% of the cash on the Bengals, though. So it looks like the money's coming in on the Bengals. For some reason, I wouldn't really think that the public would be off of the Bengals here because the Bengals looked a lot better last week. So Joe Burrow went down. He's got turf toe, and somehow turf toe means he's going to be out for 3 months. Doesn't make any sense. Joe Burrow never stays healthy. I mean, the Bengals are 2-0, so I don't understand how they're not public here. Like, I know the public, they know that Joe Burrow's out, but Jake Browning led them to a win last week. They were on the verge of losing that game, man. Jacksonville, I said that I leaned to Jacksonville in the game last week, and they were covering literally wire to wire in that game, and the only time that Jacksonville was not covering the plus 3.5 was literally the final score when Cincinnati kicked the extra point on that final field goal, I believe, and that was it. Jacksonville was covering the entire game otherwise. So people, I think, saw that game, though, and they think, oh, my God, like Jake Browning, he did well in that game. He led them to that comeback win. He looks good. He's got a hot girlfriend, if you saw, wearing the spandex out there, you know. So I'm actually pretty shocked that the public isn't really on Cincinnati here. I would think that they would be. I think this is a difficult spot for Cincinnati, though. They are going out on the road. Yes, it is an injured player spot, so they are going to have that factor in this game where they're going to get up for it because they know it's the first game that Joe Burrow is actually out to start the game. So they know they're going to have to step it up for that game. But they do have a pretty big game against Denver up next, going to Mile High. That's going to be kind of a repeat of one of those crucial games late in the season last year. That game went into overtime last year, and Cincinnati won the game to stay alive in the playoff race last year because Cincinnati, I think, needed that game just a little bit more. at that point. So it's going to be more of a revenge spot for Denver, if it's revenge at all, if they really care. But it's still a bigger game. It's a bigger conference game. And Minnesota's just really not looked good so far. So for me, I mean, I think Cincinnati could kind of overlook Minnesota here, man. And I think that Browning is not quite as good as he looked last week. Yes, he has a lot of experience. Man, Joe Burrow can't seem to stay healthy. So, yeah, Browning does have experience in this system. So that's good. But Minnesota, I think they're kind of a plug-and-play offense, too, which I said coming into week one. I thought that it didn't even really matter who their quarterback was going to be in that game. I thought they would win anyway. And J.J. McCarthy did lead them to a comeback in that game. So he looked okay, but then he was just kind of overhyped. And then he was awful in the game against Atlanta. And I guess he got hurt at some point. So he is hurt now coming into this. But Minnesota's going to be going with Carson Wentz, man. And that might actually be an upgrade, to be honest. J.J. McCarthy, he looked so bad against Atlanta. And everybody saw that game because that was Sunday night last week, which is why I'm even more surprised that the public is not on Cincinnati here, because why would they want to be on the Vikings at all after they only scored 6 points against Atlanta and they looked terrible on Sunday night on national TV and everybody saw that game? I don't get it. So, yes, Minnesota, they're on a little bit of a short week because they played on Sunday night. But a lot of times when a team looks so bad on primetime like that, you want to look towards that team in the next game. I think that's going to be the case with Minnesota. And I actually think Carson Wentz might be an upgrade, even though I know he's not that good. But he has a lot of NFL experience. He did lead that Philly team to the playoffs, at least that year, before he got hurt. And then everybody remembers Nick Foles won the Super Bowl with them. He came in basically from out of nowhere and won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. But Carson Wentz played like a majority of that season, man. I think Wentz, he can get into the system and he can play well. And Minnesota has the much, much better defense. Cincinnati's defense is still a total liability. So you're playing Minnesota, you're on the team with the better defense at the very least. You know me, I like defense better than offense. Although I'd prefer getting points or having a shorter line on that with the Vikings. But I personally would still lean to the Vikings in that one. With the injured player spot, both teams are in it, so both teams know they have to step up their game for the backup quarterback. But again, I think the Vikings might have a little bit more of that factor as well there because they looked so bad in that game. So we will, the Vikings, yeah, they're gay. They have that, whatever, like male cheerleader, male. I don't even know if he/she even is male. I don't know. The fruit ball. Well, the other thing I will say about this game before I move on is that the Vikings have the way better coach. Kevin O'Connell is way better than Zach Taylor. Is that his name for the Bengals? I don't think Taylor's a very good coach at all. So I think the Vikings have a coaching mismatch in that game as well. So I'm going to lean that way in that one. Rams-Eagles, this is close to being a play for me. I was considering a play on the Rams here, man. The Eagles are now from 4.5 to 3. 56% of tickets, 59% of the cash on the Eagles. For now, the cash is coming in on the Eagles, but the line did drop a little bit. The look ahead on this was Eagles 4.5. So the look ahead, the line did drop a little bit from that, but it's not really a significant drop, I would say. I think maybe some of that was just money coming in on the Rams after the line opened at the same number. Philadelphia's just looked good so far, man. I mean, everybody knows who they are. They're the Super Bowl champs. They beat Dallas in week 1 on primetime. Big divisional win there. Dallas with Dak Prescott back put up a fight. Philly still won, and the game was lightning delayed, so they had to play later. Then Philly had to face Kansas City on the road at Arrowhead in the Super Bowl rematch with Kansas City looking for revenge. I thought Kansas City was actually going to get the revenge, and Philadelphia still won the game. Now they're coming off of that, and they get to play the Rams. And the Rams are going to be the team looking for revenge here in this one. I know Philly staved off one team that was looking for revenge, but the Rams are looking for revenge too, man. It's playoff revenge. Again, it's the only type of revenge that really matters that much, or one of the only types. You definitely remember who ended your season last year, man. And the Rams, they went into Philadelphia last year, and Philadelphia knocked them out of the playoffs. And I had Philadelphia in that game. I think Philadelphia was about a minus 5.5 point favorite in that game or something like that. And I think they didn't cover. They won and didn't cover, I think, if I remember correctly. Or I think maybe they pushed even. It was like really close to the number. The Rams definitely could have potentially won that game. Like Saquon Barkley broke a couple of huge runs in that game that really helped Philly out. I think the Rams are going to show up for this, man. I know the line is lower than it was in that game. So like, why is that the case? Why are the Eagles like, basically a 3.5-point favorite in this game instead of like 5.5 where they were in the playoffs last year. Well, the Eagles lost a lot of their defensive players, man. They have mostly the same offense this year, but I think their offense is going to actually take a little bit of a step back too. I think they overperformed a little bit last year, but their defense lost like half of their defensive personnel. Like I mentioned, Sweat, but they also lost Gardner Johnson and Slay. So this Eagles defense, I don't think is going to be as good as last year. So I think the Rams can actually take advantage. Their offense did actually break out a little bit last week in a game where I gave out Tennessee in that game, and Tennessee was in that game, and then the Rams just kind of exploded late and ran away with it, unfortunately for me. But yes, it is a second straight road game for the Rams, so it's a little bit of a difficult spot for them. I don't know if they went home. Would they go home like between these two games, though, where they have to go to Tennessee and then have to go east, or do you think they practice? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Hopefully they practice somewhere out on the road, because I wouldn't want the Rams, really, if they went back home and now they have to fly across country again. Hopefully they practice at some other facility closer to the East Coast here, man. And people will say, it's these West Coast teams going east, whatever, to play a game that's early with their biological clock. But I always say that is a little bit overstated. Again, I think the worst biological clock spot is always an East Coast team going out west to play a late game, because they have to play really late when they're like fatigued basically at the end of the day. So I think that's worse. So yes, I do like the Rams here. I think the revenge kind of puts it a little bit over the top. It's not a play for me, but lean to the Rams there. Colorado's up 28-3 now, so I think I will survive in Survivor. Steelers-Patriots. Steelers at Patriots. The Steelers are up from 1 to 1.5 here. 52% of tickets, 56% of the cash on the Steelers. Money coming in on the Steelers here. I believe the Patriots went in to Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh last year, even though the Patriots only had 4 wins last year. I think they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh last year, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Steelers made some mistakes in that game. So it could be a little bit of revenge for the Steelers, but I don't know if you really care that much about revenge for some mid-season game against some team that maybe you don't really have that much focus on. The Steelers, they've looked fairly good so far, in that they've put up a lot of offense so far. Aaron Rodgers was really good in the first game against the Jets. He wasn't as good against Seattle, though I think Seattle actually does have a pretty solid defense, maybe a little bit underrated. So Rodgers, I think he was in a letdown spot, though, because apparently that Jets game meant a lot more to him than I thought it did, beating his former team. Now Pittsburgh going out on the road again after a loss. Sometimes it's a good thing to go out on the road again after a loss, because you kind of just forget what happened at home. But I'm not quite sure that I love Pittsburgh here, man. Pittsburgh actually has not won in New England since, I think 2008, something like that, which might have been the Matt Castle year or something? I don't remember. But Pittsburgh, they do not do well in New England historically, so that's something to keep in mind. The Patriots, they might be on a little bit of an improvement trajectory, as they didn't look very good in week 1 at home. They haven't won a game at home yet, so I think they're going to want to get this game, man. They did go down on the road and beat Miami on the road, which is somewhat impressive, even though I know Miami doesn't look good at all, so people aren't going to put that much weight into that. But Patriots, still, it's a fairly difficult road divisional game to go down and do that in the heat, maybe, which you're not totally used to, although, I don't know how hot it really was there. But this is a hard handicap for me, man, because there just isn't that much of a situation to look for. To me, I just think the Steelers are a little bit of a public road favorite here, although I know I see more of the money coming in on them. This is going to be one of the ones where I might flip-flop on this. As I say on the show, I do the market read here, and then as far as picking, I have to pick every game and pick-ems and whatever. So if I don't have a particularly strong opinion on a particular game, my opinion actually might wind up changing right before the game or whatever, based on what I see the late market movement do. This might be one of those games, man. Right now it's difficult, because I initially did lean to the Patriots. I think I still do, but now it looks like the money might be coming in on the Steelers. I've heard some professionals like the Steelers in this one. I just don't, or like the Patriots, like the Patriots in that one. I just don't have a strong gauge on that game at all. Jets-Buccaneers will be my last play, so I'm going to give that out at the end of the show as well. Texas-Jaguars to finish off the 1 p.m., so all my plays are going to be in the 1 p.m. slate. Not doing any prime time this time. Texas-Jaguars, we get another So the AFC South are actually all the teams in the AFC South are playing each other this week. The Jags are down from a 1.5-point favorite to a 1-point favorite, but it looks like the Texans are very public. 78% of tickets, only 74% of the cash. So this is one of those types of things where I tell you, man, when you have a public road underdog like that, and it looks like less of the cash is on them, I tend to want to look towards that home favorite. So I would lean to the Jaguars in this game because of that. Houston's also on a short week, but both teams are kind of off. Like pretty difficult losses, to be honest. But Houston is on the short week, so I think that makes it a little bit worse for them. Houston coming off that really difficult loss right at the end of Tampa Bay. That was a pretty, I would say, heartbreaking loss, even though I know it's not like they have like a rivalry or anything like that. Houston against Tampa Bay, but still, it was a big Monday night game. Houston probably should have won the game. I gave out Houston as a lean in that one on my show, and they fell just short right at the end. Their defense just gave up one of the only touchdown drives for Tampa all game. Houston gave it up right at the end. Really difficult. Now they're going to go on the road here to face the Jaguars. The Jags, I think, are a bit improved this year, and people may not realize it yet. People probably just won't care that much. Oh, Jacksonville beat Carolina. People won't really be impressed by that, but I'm impressed by what Jacksonville did last week, man. They basically should have beaten the Bengals last week. So with Trevor Lawrence healthy and out there, this Jacksonville team is way different than what you saw without him last year. I think they're a somewhat balanced team, man. It's not too bad. It's going to be Liam Cohen, their coach. Now, I don't know how good he is yet, but I believe Cohen was actually the offensive coordinator for Tampa last year. So Baker Mayfield actually doesn't have that much continuity there with the coordinator. I think he's had a different coordinator every single year, just a tidbit there on Tampa Bay, which I'll be talking about Tampa Bay later in the show. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much of a situational read on this other than the fact that both teams are coming off heartbreaking losses. They lost right at the end, but Houston's is more fresh in mind because it was on a big primetime game on Monday night. So I think Jacksonville may be the right side in that one. Houston's going to have to go outdoors, so I don't know if that's going to affect them a bit or not. I did point out last year at some point that C.J. Stroud hasn't been quite as good in outdoor games, although I think he does worse when it's like cold or like bad weather and stuff like that, which is kind of weird because I think he did play at Ohio State, but in college you don't really play late enough into the winter that it really starts getting cold. So I don't know, but of course that's not going to be the case yet in Jacksonville early in the season. That's not going to be a problem, but they are going to be outdoors. Going into the 4 p.m. slates, we have another big divisional game between the Broncos and the Chargers. 4 p.m. Eastern here. Chargers basically just sitting at a 3-point favorite. As far as the look ahead in this one, I don't know if it was that much. It probably wasn't that much of a difference. Where was it? Chargers are actually 1.5, so the Chargers are actually up to 3. So that is a little bit of a difference. It went up to a key number 3. The Chargers are the hype right now, man. They got 63% of tickets, only 60% in the cash. So I think I'm going to lean to the Broncos in this game, even though I came into the season saying that I thought the Chargers had a pretty solid chance to win this division. I thought the Broncos might actually come in behind both the Chargers and the Chiefs. I thought the Broncos might have that little like sophomore slump with Bo Nix potentially there, because a lot of times when these rookie quarterbacks take the league by surprise, the league kind of figures them out a little bit in year 2. I thought that might be the case, but in this particular matchup, the money is kind of saying to look towards the Denver Broncos, and I may agree with that, even though I know it is in L.A., but L.A., I mean, they don't really have the Chargers don't have a huge home field advantage in this stadium, man. It seems like they just don't get a great crowd there for whatever reason. Maybe it'll get better as they continue to get better, though. Generally, I do think the Chargers will do better out of the two teams this year, but I just don't love the spot. The Chargers are coming up Monday night, so it's a short week for them, too. They had to win on Monday night in a divisional game. They had to come back from Brazil the prior week, so it's not really an easy spot for them. They are coming back home, but they're having to play 3 straight divisional games, including 2 isolated primetime games, and they beat both teams, Kansas City and the Raiders. The hype is on them, man. It's a short week. At some point, they're going to have to like lack effort a little bit in some game, and I know this is a big game still in the division, but I think it's a more difficult spot for the Chargers here, man. And I saw like on this TV behind me here, I saw like some NFL shows, show on ESPN earlier this week where they were discussing are the Chargers the favorite to win the AFC? So it's like everybody's overreacting to what they've seen so far. Like, yeah, the Chargers are good. Yeah, I think they have a good chance to win this division. Yeah, they definitely should make the playoffs. But we have 2 weeks, man. You're talking about the Chargers winning the entire AFC already. Like, let's hold your horses a little bit here. It's still only Harbaugh's second year, I think, should be an improvement from the first year. But the Chargers, they're just way too hyped for my liking right now, man. And Denver, probably going to be a little bit pissed about the way they lost that game. Although I don't know if basically hearing everybody saying, oh, they should have won that game, if that's going to maybe kind of like give them too much overconfidence or whatever, too much confidence coming into this one. We'll see. And Broncos did lose Greenlaw. He can never stay healthy. He was never healthy seemingly with the 49ers. Now I guess he's not healthy with the Broncos. So the Broncos did lose him, but they still have a solid defense, man. So I think it's probably going to be a bit of a low-scoring game, would be my opinion. I mean, the odds makers are kind of saying that. Total did go up a little bit from 43.5 to 45.5, but 57% of tickets, only 55% of the cash on the over. So the money seems maybe like it's coming back in on the under in this one. Chargers, they play a slow possession-style game. Broncos have a solid defense, so I definitely could see it being a bit of a low-scoring game there, which does help the underdogs case a little bit if that is the case. Denver, I mean, they're still coming off a game where they're probably going to be a little bit pissed having played Indy, although they do have to go to the Pacific Coast here, but it's not a late-night game, at least. In Denver, they're traveling through a couple of different time zones here, having last played in Indy, so maybe a little bit difficult. That second straight road game sometimes is a little bit more difficult, but I think I still lean to Denver in that game. Not a play for me, though. Saints, Seahawks. Seahawks are one of the most public teams of the week. They're down a little bit from 7.5 to 7 as a home favorite. I think I'm probably going to have to go with the Seahawks in Survivor. Just hope that they win, because you got to look at future value, man. And the Seahawks basically don't have any future value, because I don't think that they're that good, and they don't really have any Survivor-worthy games left all season. So I think from that perspective, I think you kind of have to play the Seahawks in Survivor, in my opinion, here, and hold off on some of the better teams. Like, I didn't play the Bills on Thursday. I'm saving them because you got to be low time preference, man, and think about the future value. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to play the big favorite every week. I mean, that'll last you for a little while, but it won't win you these like big pools. But I might have to use the Seahawks here and just hope that they get the job done, because I'm not sure that they're going to cover this number. I think, of course, they can win without covering, but it might get a little iffy. It's a low total. It's up to 41.5. Money a little bit coming in the over, though. 77% of tickets, 83% of the cash coming in the over. I don't know if that's going to be the case, man, because the Seahawks, their offense hasn't looked very impressive. Sam Darnold, you know me, I'm not a huge Sam Darnold fan. I think last year was kind of a flash in the pan. I think it had more to do with the O'Connell system. Darnold, I mean, I know the Seahawks put up a bunch of points last week against the Steelers, but the Steelers' defense doesn't look very good so far. The Saints' defense isn't that good either, so maybe Darnold will do okay here, but I still don't think the Seahawks are really a very good offense. The Seahawks have some injuries here. It looks like Smith-Njigba is a game-time decision, so I don't know if he's going to play, and Charbonnet is out, so I don't know who else they have at running back, but he's not playing in this game, so that's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for the Seahawks to get their offense going. Saints' offense is miserable, though. So, I mean, I could see this game being pretty low scoring. The Saints going with Spencer Rattler still. The one thing about Rattler is they don't put him in a position where they're not asking him to do too much. So they're not putting him in, like, risky positions. I don't think he's turned the ball over yet. So the Saints have not turned the ball over very much yet, so at least there's that, even though they're 0-2. And I talked about that already, though, by the way. The 0-2 teams tend to be good to cover the spread, man. So that's something to consider there. I know the Texans are 0-2, though, and I just kind of said that I leaned against them. But the 0-2 teams, they do tend to cover the spread more often than not, and I think it's better when they're a big underdog. Usually they are an underdog. Yeah, Saints, at least with Rattler, he's not out there making mistakes right now. So there is that. So he does that, but he makes a lot of just like short throws, man. It's a lot of dink and dunk from the Saints offense. So it could be a real ugly game there, man. As far as the side, the Seahawks, 89% of tickets, 91% of the cash. So they are very public, although it looks like a little bit more of the cash coming into them. I'm not sure that's going to be the case when the game kicks off. Seahawks have Kenneth Walker III. That's right. So he's an experienced running back. So there shouldn't be that much of a downgrade then, really. He used to be their starter, so that's probably not a huge downgrade, really, from Charbonnet. Yeah, as far as the scheduling spot here, it's a little bit difficult for the Seahawks. They did have a big win over Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they'll consider that to be a big win. And after this game, they have to turn around and play at Arizona, divisional matchup on Thursday night. And Arizona's 2-0 right now. So it's a bit of a look-ahead spot for Seattle. They might not totally pay attention to New Orleans with this big divisional matchup up next, man. And they have to turn around and do that in 3 days, basically 4 days. So not really the greatest spot for Seattle as far as that's concerned. New Orleans is playing their first road game of the season, though, and that's not that easy either. And they're coming off a pretty big game as well, where they hung in that game against San Francisco. And, I mean, usually you're going to get up for a game against San Francisco. It's a big game, and they are still the 49ers, even though I know it was without Brock Purdy and whatever. New Orleans, close game there, so having to play some pretty tough games all in a row here, though. So it's not exactly the easiest spot for them either. I would still slightly lean into taking the points with the Saints. Overall, though, the line has hit that key number 7 at least, or the Seahawks look ahead. It was 6.5, and now it's 7. So you are getting the key number there at least if you want to take the underdog. Dallas at Chicago. Is that the next game up? Yes, it is. Dallas has flipped from a 1.5-point dog, I guess, to a 1-point favorite. They're very public, though, or fairly public. 79% of tickets, 80% of the cash on them for now. But I think I actually lean to the Bears in this game. Nobody's going to want to take the Bears here, man. You know me as a contrarian. I'm not going to want to play it, but I don't think the spot is great for Dallas. They're coming off 2 big divisional games against Philly, primetime, where they played pretty close, and they had that lightning delay thing, very weird. And then they played that barn burner last week against the Giants, man. It was a big game. They got the win, the divisional win. You could say maybe they should be embarrassed because they almost lost to the Giants. Maybe they should be, but that's still a big divisional win and a hard-fought game, man. Now they have to go to Chicago, and what do they have next? Next week in primetime, I think on Sunday night, they have the Micah Parsons Bowl. They got to play Green Bay. Dallas has to go up against Micah Parsons, so they traded away to Green Bay right before the season started. Everybody's going to talk about that. That's a big game in primetime, so it's a little bit of a sandwich spot for Dallas here. And Dallas, I mean, last week, man, they made Russell Wilson look like a god. I mean, Russell Wilson looked like he was done. Like, he's totally washed. He's looked awful. And Dallas's defense, at least their pass defense, was so bad that Russell Wilson threw over 400 yards against them. It totally lit them up. And whereas the previous week, I was like, just bring Jackson Dart out there. And I'm still saying that. I still don't think Russell Wilson is even good at this point at all. I think that's just more how bad Dallas's defense is. So, Caleb Williams, I don't think he's good. I really don't. I mean, I've made that a point on the show. I don't think he's good. I think he's a bust. But he gets to go up against one of the weaker pass defenses here, man. So he might be able to do something against this Dallas defense. It really is not good. The Bears defense hasn't been good either, though. So this is more about the spot. I do think it's a bad spot for Dallas. The Bears, I mean, they got lit up last week bad by Detroit. Detroit got a lot of yards against them. Chicago did have a couple turnovers in that game as well, but it wasn't all turnovers that led to that. Chicago, they're one of those 0-2 teams. And what did I just say? 0-2, baby. Want to look to play on those 0-2 teams for the most part. And they just that was embarrassing, man, getting blown out like that against Detroit. But you know, Detroit, hearing how bad they were against Green Bay the week before that. Oh, Detroit, Jared Goff, they can't play without without Ben Johnson there. So I was kind of saying the same thing to some extent. Like, I thought the Bears would put up a better performance in that game. Man, was I wrong. I thought the Bears' defense would be a lot better. So, yeah, I mean, the Bears, it's embarrassing, man. So you know they're going to be using this week to shore some things up, man, and do better this time. They are getting to face a one-dimensional Dallas offense this time, even though Dallas can certainly throw the ball. They can't really run it. We'll see what happens in this game, man. It's a very high total. I think it's the highest total of the week, so people are talking about this total. It's gone all the way up from 46 to now 50. 47 and 51 are key numbers on total, so it's gone right through that 47 all the way up to 50, and now we see 88% of tickets are on the over. The public is going to want the over. I mean, of course they are. They just saw the Bears just gave up 52 points last week, high-scoring game on both sides, 70-something points scored in I think both of these teams' games, we had 70-something points scored, right? Dallas, what was the score in that one? Yeah. Both teams were involved in 70-plus point games last week, so nobody in their right mind is going to want to play an under in this game. The total went way up, too. Only 74% of the cash on the over, though, so I'm insane, and I'm a contrarian, so even though I can kind of see the arguments for the over here as well, obviously, because you got you got a passing offense that's good on the Cowboys side, a bad passing defense there, Bears defense that doesn't look good either. It does look like it could be an over, but the contrarian in me says no. It says that the games were so high scoring last week that I think it might be an under. I know it sounds crazy, but if it's an under, I think that does help the Bears because the Bears are not going to be able to win this in a shootout, man. You cannot compete with the Cowboys passing attack with Caleb Williams. You can't enter into a shootout when that's what your offense is, right? You have to slow the Cowboys down somehow. So the Bears, they're going to try to establish the run, I would have to imagine, and try to slow this game down. And the only way they can win this game is really to keep the Cowboys' offense off the field for big parts of the game, I would imagine. And the Bears should be able to, I think, do some damage against this Cowboys defense. So lean to the Bears. Cowboys side, Jadeveon Clowney. I didn't even know he was still around at all. You like the Bears, Charles? All right. Not many people do. And I don't mean, big, hairy, gay men. I mean the Chicago Bears football team. Although maybe some of them are both. I don't know. Then we get to the final game of the 4 p.m. slate here. Cardinals, 49ers, another divisional game. 49ers up from 1-2 here, 1.5 to 2. 49ers, it feels like they should be more of a favorite than this. 53% of tickets, 73% of the cash coming in on the 49ers. So the money is coming in on the 49ers. I have a hard time with this game, man, because the reason why the 49ers are only a 2-point favorite is because Brock Purdy is still out. I think if he was playing, this line would move up to 4.5, 5, I would imagine. Let me see. What was the look ahead on this? The look ahead was 2.5, but I think the look ahead was still accounting for Brock Purdy being out. I don't think he's back yet. He's doubtful, I think, as far as it is right now. I don't know what his injury is, but it looks like you're going to get more Mac Jones for the 49ers here. Now, the 49ers, they do have other talent on their offense, of course, so I think Kittle might still be out too, so something to look into there. I don't know if he's playing in this game or not. 49ers did win without these guys last week against the Saints, though. The Saints could be the worst team in the NFL, potentially. But the 49ers are sitting at 2-0, so are the Cardinals. It's a big game for both teams. The Cardinals, they seem to never get over the hump, man, although they do tend to play the 49ers pretty tough. But usually the 49ers are a big favorite against them, and this time they're not. I don't know, man. Maybe the 49ers playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because the line's so low. But when it's a second game without your starting quarterback, right? Like I talked about, last week would have been the injured player spot for the 49ers, which I mentioned last week. So that was their first game without Brock Purdy. Sometimes when that happens and you step up your game for that game, you take a step back in the second game. That second game, you actually want to look to fade that team in the second game with the players still injured. So that is coming into play here in this game. So the money is saying the 49ers. Looks like a pretty significant cash disparity there with the 49ers. I'm not totally sure that I see that. Again, it's a big game for both teams, so it's not like one team is going to be distracted or whatever. Arizona, their resume maybe is a little bit less impressive so far. Neither team has played very good teams so far. Both teams have beaten New Orleans, so that's not totally impressive. But Arizona last week, I know they had a big lead. They were my survivor last week. They had a big lead in this game, 27-3 against Carolina, and they almost blew it at the end. But they actually got outgained by Carolina in this one, man. If you go look, they got outgained 352 to 293. So that's a little bit of a red flag that Arizona at home got outgained by the Panthers by that much. So maybe not quite all is right with the Cardinals here, man. The 49ers played the most difficult opponent that either team has faced so far. As ridiculous as that sounds, that's Seattle. And the 49ers were able to handle their business in that game, at least, although they were definitely helped out by some mistakes, and Sam Darnold kind of crashed into his own offensive lineman and fumbled the football when Seattle was about to potentially win the game at the end of that game with a score in 49er territory. 49ers, the other thing they do have going for them is this is their home opener. They haven't played at home yet, so maybe that's part of the reason why they're taking some money here. The home opener is usually a pretty motivated spot. They don't have a big game up next. Arizona does have to turn around and play Seattle in a couple of days, but they're not going to overlook the 49ers, so it doesn't really matter that Arizona does have that Thursday night game coming up. It's going to be a difficult spot for Arizona, to be honest, after the San Francisco game, having to turn around and play again after this big game. I might look to fade Arizona next on Thursday, but for now, yeah, I guess I'll slightly lean with the market here to the 49ers, but I really don't love it. I don't have a good gauge on that game at all. The Sunday night game is Chiefs-Giants. I know. It doesn't sound like a very enticing matchup, really. Both teams are 0-2. How about that, man? The Chiefs are 0-2. I told you I like their under season win total. I said Chiefs under, 49ers over, and although the 49ers are dealing with injuries right now, so I might have to be worried about that. And I said Redskins under, so we'll see what happens with those season win totals. Those are my top three that I gave out on the season win total special. Chiefs are 0-2, but they're still a 6-point favorite here, so the books have no respect for the Giants at all. Chiefs are down from 6.5 to 6 here, but 82% of tickets, 88% of the cash coming in, so it looks like the money is kind of actually coming in on the Chiefs, even though they're also public. Maybe the professional money somewhat kind of agreeing with the Chiefs here. I mean, usually prime time, I mean, the classic thing to do in prime time is you want to go with the home underdog, right? But that was a thing for years and years and years. Prime time, home underdog. The home underdog, steps up their game for it. The public's always on the favorite. The home underdog steps up their game. They're being undervalued. But the books have adjusted for that. They know that that's the case. So the books are not giving you line value that much on the home underdog anymore in cases like this. So maybe in this game, maybe you still are getting a little bit of line value here because it is still the Chiefs. It's still Patrick Mahomes. Man, this is a difficult handicap, man, for me. You got to think the Chiefs are going to be pissed, but they're coming off two big games. They had to play in Brazil against the Chargers, lost that game. Then they had Super Bowl revenge last week, and they failed to get it done against Philly. Worthy is still out, which is great because he's on my fantasy team. Fuck you, Travis Kelce. I do have Rashee Rice, though, so, I mean, maybe I should just cut Worthy at this point, man. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know if he's coming back before that. It was a dislocated shoulder. I think it was a labrum tear, I thought is what it was. And he was like, now I'll just play with like my arm in a sling. I'm like, how the fuck can you do that as a wide receiver? Like, you're not going to be able to catch any throws. You're going to be an obvious decoy. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the Chiefs are coming off a big game. They're banged up on offense. Yeah, they are coming off that big game against Philly. Super Bowl revenge. Couldn't get it done. Now this is also their first road game. And they're having to go to a place they don't usually play. It's one of those out-of-conference road games, man. And who do they play next? The Baltimore Ravens, one of the top teams in the AFC. So that's a big game up next. So it's a little bit iffy, man. It's an iffy spot in the schedule here. And if the Chiefs weren't 0-2, I'd probably be like, yeah, I mean, this is a major sandwich spot. I'd probably give it a play on the Giants, to be honest. But a couple of hesitations. The Chiefs kind of need to show up and win, but the public is going to be saying that too. The public is going to be saying there's no way the Chiefs can start this season 0-3, right? There's no way that could possibly happen. So the public is going to be saying that. I probably still lean to the Giants slightly in this one, but the Giants are coming off a big game of their own, man. They did play two big divisional games already too, and they had that barn burner, like I said, against Dallas, back and forth. They almost beat Dallas. Crazy game. This is a big game as well. I understand Chiefs coming into your place Sunday night. You're not going to overlook them, but still a little bit of a difficult spot for the Giants. But it is also their home opener, so things are going to be a little bit crazier there. But you know Russell Wilson's not going to do what he did last week against Dallas. I mean, bad pass defense. Kansas City's defense is a lot better than Dallas, so there's no way Russell Wilson's going to return to looking like an old, like terrible quarterback again, I would have to imagine, in this game. But I don't think either team is going to be able to put up a lot of points here, man. The total should be low. It's fairly low at 44.5. It's gone up a little bit. 76% of tickets on the over, 84% of the cash on the over. I kind of see it being an ugly game, though, man. And the Chiefs, they don't have a lot of weapons on offense right now. They're banged up on offense. Both defenses are the better units here. Both teams have better defenses than offenses. So I don't really see that. I think an under maybe is worth a look there. And if it's low scoring, it means the points are worth more. So I would probably still fade the public there and lean to the Giants, but I really don't love it. Travis Kelce proposed. The script writers, yeah, they're figuring out what to do, right? So what is this now? Travis Kelce's like the what is he now? If the Chiefs have a bad season this year, it's like it turns into like a tragedy, like a Romeo and Juliet situation. I don't know, man. And then Monday night we have Lions Ravens, a pretty big matchup on Monday night. It is an NFC versus AFC matchup, so an out-of-conference game here, out-of-conference road game for the Lions. Now, and this is actually the highest total of the week. This one's up from 50.5 to 52.5, and it makes sense. I mean, the Lions and Ravens, they're probably the two best offenses in the NFL. I mean, they're crazy good, especially the Ravens. The Ravens' offense is insane. Ravens are probably the best team in the NFL. They're power rated as the best team in the NFL by the power ratings of the odds makers are using and a lot of the handicappers use. Ravens, I thought they were the best team last year. I thought they should have won that game against Buffalo. The defense needs a little bit of work, though. Maybe on both of these teams. The Ravens' defense has looked a little bit holy, and I don't mean like godlike. I mean they have holes in their defense that they got to shore up a bit, man. Because you always think of the Ravens as like this, like punishing defense, right? Like it was with like Ray Lewis back in the old days there when they won that Super Bowl with that elite defense they had in like 2000 or whatever. But that's not the case anymore. The Ravens are a crazy offense team now. They should be good on both sides of the ball, but their offense is better than their defense. Would I play an over in this game, though? Probably not. That's up through that key number of 51 to 52.5, 91% of tickets, 94% of the cash. People saw the Ravens put up 40-plus points in 2 games already, and the Lions put up a 50-something last week, so everybody's going to play the over here. So it looks like it's a contrarian move to play the under in this one, and it might happen. I mean, it's a playoff-style game here, right? And that might be what happens in this game, although it is a situation where the teams aren't that familiar with each other, so maybe the defenses won't be able to like game plan as well. But still, I mean, I would probably lean to an under in this one too, as insane as it sounds. Now, my first instinct on the side was, you have 2 really good teams, and the Ravens are a 6.5-point favorite, which looks really, really high, right? So I was thinking that means you want to lay the points of the Ravens. I was expecting the Lions to be one of those public underdogs where you have 2 good teams and the line just looks, to the public perception, it just looks too high and they come in on the underdog. I thought that was going to happen here, and it is not. 62% of tickets are on the Ravens and only 53% of the cash. So the public, they want the Ravens for whatever reason. Both these teams are 1-1. Everybody knows both these teams are good. So I guess for now, at least, I mean, I'll talk about it again on Monday, but for now, I guess I have to lean to Detroit. But man, it doesn't seem that great. Both teams are coming off blowout wins against inferior division opponents, so that's not really, it's not an advantage one way or the other. But I thought Detroit having to go to an unfamiliar venue in Baltimore, I was kind of thinking that the spot was a little bit better for Baltimore. So I don't know, man. We'll see what the market does. But sometimes when I don't have a good gauge on the game, I'll lean towards what the market is saying. It looks like the Ravens have a couple of guys ruled out, possibly on their defense. I don't even know. Van Noy is one of them, and Matabuki, I don't even know who that is. But Ravens look like they have a couple of injuries to deal with there. Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult game to handicap too, man. So we'll see what happens. I'm still surprised the Ravens are the public side, though. Usually you get a public underdog when it's a setup like that. Let's go to best bets, man. We're ready for this? You guys are going to hate every single one of these, which I always say. And I know we were bad last week. I think we were 0-3, right? It was kind of bullshit, to be honest. NFL has not started off good. I know. I think was it 0-3 last week? Was it really, or was it 1-2? I don't even remember. I think it was 0-3. It was just brutal, man. Fucking brutal. I think I'm 1-5 to start the NFL season. Just brutal. We got to get it going, man. So let's play some 0-2 underdogs. How about that? I think all 3 of these are 0-2 underdogs. You're going to absolutely hate them. Think about the ugliest underdogs that are on the board. You know what games these are already. Literally, it's going to be the 3 ugliest underdogs, I think, on the entire board. And the first one is, of course, the Cleveland Browns, plus 7.5. That's what we're going with. They're at home. It's a home underdog with the Cleveland Browns, man. This is a fade of the Packers. They're very public. They're up from 7 to 7.5, 88% of tickets, 88% of the cash. Public is only going to want to play the Packers. They've seen what they've done so far. They've looked awesome, but I think this is a spot where the Packers might just look right past the Browns. And the total's really low, down from 43 to 41. I think it's the lowest total on the entire board. 71% of the cash on the over in this one. So the public just thinking, oh, the Packers could score, Jordan Love, whatever. I'm not going to agree with that. 55% of the cash, though, on the under. I agree with the under as well, but the total's dropped a little bit. I think it's going to be an ugly game, man. Both teams can play pretty solid defense, man. And the Browns' offense is certainly not good, although I think if it gets into this lower scoring game, of course, that's a big spread to be laying as a road team, man, especially with a total this low. Every point is worth more, man, in a case like that. So I think we're getting a lot of value here. If you look at the look-ahead line, actually, I thought it was a little bit less than that. It was about the same. It was Packers 7. But let's see, what have the Packers done so far, man? I mean, people have seen what they've done so far. They've looked excellent so far. They've won 2 big games already against Detroit. Huge divisional game. They lost both games to Detroit last year. They beat them. That was a big win for them against Detroit, man. And then they followed it up beating Washington. It was, this upstart team was really good. Made the playoffs last year. Made it further in the playoffs than Green Bay did last year. And that was on a Thursday night. So everybody saw that. And now I know Green Bay has extra time off to prepare for this game. But when you're winning like this and you're doing really well, you're coming off a big win like that, what do you do during that extra time off? Like, to prepare? Like, what do you have to change? You don't have anything to change. So I don't think that's that helpful. Having the extra time off, I think, can kind of disrupt your momentum a little bit. They have to go on the road for the first time this season. It's an out-of-conference game, which I always keep saying. That type of spot on the schedule is the spot that means the least to you. And it's the least familiar to you. You don't go to Cleveland very often if you're Green Bay. And again, what do they have up next? The Micah Parsons Bowl. Micah Parsons, they're going to have to face Dallas. So that is a big game after this. So again, I think they might look right past the Browns here. And the Browns, they're still looking for a win at home. They did play well against Cincinnati in week 1. The Browns defense showed up. And last week, they were playing well for a while last week before the game kind of just got totally out of hand. I mean, the game was 20-10 going into the fourth quarter. So they lost 41-17, but the game just totally unraveled. There was a punt return touchdown at the end of the game. I mean, it was just the game totally unraveled for Cleveland. It was close up until then. I gave out Cleveland as a lean. I thought it was a decent lean. It was one of my pick 5s last week, too. It wasn't one of my plays, but it was brutal last week for me, man. But that game was it was actually a lot closer on the scoreboard than the final score wound up being. And if we look at the yardage, Cleveland outgained Baltimore in the game, dude. They held Baltimore to 242 total yards. Cleveland was -2 in offense. Nobody would ever think that. A team that lost 41-17 actually won the yardage battle, won the first down yardage, and had the time of possession edge. So I think Cleveland, to cover that number, was absolutely the right lean in that game, man. It's just ridiculous what happened in that game. So Cleveland's defense was actually not bad in that game. The defense was not the problem. So this Cleveland defense, they're not that bad. I think they can hold up here, man. So you get what I think is going to be a defensive game here. 2 pretty strong defenses. Yeah, I think we're going to go with it. We don't know who Cleveland's quarterback is going to be because Joe Flacco hasn't really been getting it done. Is he going to? It looks like he's going to start the game, I guess, still. He hasn't been good, but Cleveland's rushing attack has been okay. With Judkins is now their number 1. Sampson's been in the mix a lot, been doing pretty well. Ford. I mean, they have some decent offensive talent there still. Dylan Gabriel came into the game late in the game. He did throw a touchdown late in the game, although it was garbage time. Maybe he'll see some action in this game. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. It still will be Flacco, but I don't think it matters which quarterback starts for Cleveland here, man. It's not going to affect the line very much. It's not really going to matter. Ugly, ugly underdogs, man. That's the name of the game. We're going with the Browns. Next up, we're going to go with the New York Jets plus 6.5. I don't think we're going to get the 7 on this. I don't think it was ever out there, but this is the game that was the biggest look-ahead disparity. The look-ahead on this game was, where are we looking? Buccaneers, where are we? Was Buccaneers -5, and now we're 6.5. Maybe it wasn't the largest disparity, but I think from preseason, I think it was. I think before the season started, I think the Buccaneers were only a 2.5-point favorite of this game. Now they're up to 6.5. We do see 85% of tickets, 87% of the cash coming in on them, so the money slightly looks like it's on Tampa for now, but I doubt that's going to be the case come game time. It's possible that some professional bettors are even actually just tossing a little bit of money on the Bucks just to try to maybe get that key number 7. There's no reason to play it now. I mean, if you want to wait until tomorrow and see if you get the 7, you could do that because obviously the 7's the key number. You want to get the 7 if you can. And again, if the line winds up moving to 6, that's not really a big deal. 6, 6.5 is not that much of a difference. But I'm going to recommend a play on the Jets. I think this is a bad spot for the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have some injuries to deal with too, man. I think 3 of their offensive linemen are out. They're missing 3 of their wide receivers. Baker Mayfield, I think, is actually playing injured. So there's a lot going on here with Tampa that isn't that great. The public might be just totally unaware of it. Tampa's coming off 2 big wins so far. Yes, this is going to be their home opener. I get it. They played 2 games on the road, but these are big games. They started the season with a divisional game against Atlanta. And then they followed it up playing Monday night against Houston. So they're on a short week here, having played on Monday night after a divisional game. And they should have lost both games, man. They were losing both these games in the final minutes of the game. They wound up pulling a win out of their ass in both games. They easily could have lost both games. Atlanta outgained them, I think, fairly significantly in the first game, too, which I gave out Atlanta as a lean. It wasn't one of my plays. I'd be pissed. Atlanta outgained them by almost 100 yards in that game. So Atlanta probably should have won that one. And then last week, I don't know what the deal was. Let me see. Tampa Bay last week against Houston. But Houston's also a pretty good defense. So sometimes when you play a good defense like that, you're going to be a little bit beat up coming into the next game as well. In this game, let me see what happened. Tampa probably did win the yardage battle in this one. They did. They won the yardage battle in this one, but they were still losing the game right at the end, although they did win the statistical matchup in that game. But still, quick turnaround time. They got to play the Jets. And then who do they play next, by the way? They play the Philadelphia Eagles, the returning Super Bowl champs, the following week. So I think it's a big look-ahead spot there, man, as well. So I think it's a bit of a sandwich spot. You're coming off a short week playing in primetime, and then you got the Eagles up next. I don't think they're going to pay that much attention to a Jets team that's 0-2 that really hasn't looked that good, although the Jets did play well in that first game against Pittsburgh. They outgained them. They had the lead most of that game. They blew it right at the end. That was one of my plays, my only winning play, I think, so far. And the Jets almost blew that cover. They wound up not winning outright. And then the Jets just got handled by Buffalo last week, and that was another one of my plays. So I'm on the Jets all 3. Holy shit, this is like last year all over again, where the Jets kept losing for me. Although actually this year they're 1-0, or they're 1-1 for me this year, but we'll see. I've played the Jets both weeks. I'm playing them 3 weeks in a row. How about that? I just think that there's value to be had there. The Jets, remember what happened in this game, man. Justin Fields went down with a concussion in that game. He's not going to play now in this game. So it's an injured player spot for the Jets as well. So we have, not only is this a sandwich spot for Tampa Bay, but it's an injured player spot on the side of the Jets. And you know I keep saying, when your star quarterback, or well, at least your starting quarterback, I don't know if he's a star, when he goes down, the team usually gets up and gets ready to go, man. They usually get a little bit of line value because of it, and the team usually focuses and does better. So, yeah, maybe because of the Justin Fields injury, maybe that's part of the reason why the line moved a little bit on Tampa Bay. But I just don't think there's that much of a downgrade there, man. The Jets' backup quarterback is Tyrod Taylor. He's going to be the starter in this game. So, yes, the injured player theory is in effect here. The team will still play better for him. We're getting a little bit of extra line value because of it, but I'm not even sure that Taylor is really a downgrade, man. Justin Fields, I don't think he's that bad. He could do some things with his legs or whatever, but so could Tyrod Taylor, even though he's a little bit older now. Taylor's been around for a long time. He's a very experienced quarterback. He's been on multiple different teams. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man, but Taylor's a decent quarterback. It seems like whenever he goes in there, he's always a backup somewhere, and he always gets in because everybody's always getting injured. He always gets in. He tends to surprise, at least in that first game. The team just, a lot of these opponents just don't game plan correctly for him that first time. They don't know what to expect out of him. So I think the Jets are going to maybe be able to take Tampa Bay by a little bit of surprise because of that. And we also have a pretty low total in this game, too, and a lot of money coming in on the under. It's down from 44.5 to 43, 79% of tickets on the over, 72% of the cash on the under. And again, you're getting a lot of points with an underdog here in a game that's supposed to be low scoring with money coming in on the under. So I like that, too, because it means there's more value in playing the underdog there. So I told you guys you're going to hate all this. I'm getting crickets in the chat. You know, it is what it is. This is what you want to do, man, in the NFL. It's how you find value. And then another ugly underdog to finish it off. How about the Carolina Panthers, +5? This is against the Atlanta Falcons. I know the Falcons went in and beat the Panthers. I think I gave out the Panthers as a play in this matchup at Carolina last year, and the Falcons handled them. But I think this is a spot to do it, man. The Falcons are up from 2.5 to 4.5 here. So the line has moved on the Falcons. And I don't think there's any justification for that, to be honest. The look ahead in this one was the 2.5, so I think that was the look ahead. There are no real injuries to be aware of here that would cause that line to move like that. Like, why has it moved like that? Just based on what we've seen these teams do so far. I mean, yeah, you're definitely getting value on the Panthers, man. So the line has moved unjustifiably. There's no reason for it. 80% of tickets, 69% of the cash on the Falcons. So they are really public with less of the cash. And again, the only reason the line has moved like that, I think, is because of just what we've seen out of these teams in the first 2 weeks, especially because Carolina doesn't look good. Atlanta, yes, they should have won against Tampa Bay in week 1. They played well, and then people saw them play well again on Sunday night in primetime. But that was a big game, remember, man. Atlanta, that was the college football championship revenge game for Michael Penix. That was Penix against J.J. McCarthy. And I know McCarthy went out of the game with an injury, but that was a huge win for Michael Penix, man. So big win for Atlanta. It was on primetime. Everybody saw Atlanta do that. They looked pretty good in primetime. The public is going to only want the Falcons in this game, as it's a shortened week. It's a little bit of a letdown spot for the Falcons, and they do have a bigger game up next as well against Washington, who is going to draw your focus more, I think, because it's, Jaden Daniels, assuming he's going to come back next week. That's a much bigger game as well, man. Atlanta has pretty much owned the series with Carolina recently, I think. So they might overlook Carolina quite a bit in this game, man. Carolina has not really given anybody much hope of doing anything so far. But the Jacksonville game, I mean, the game unraveled. Carolina had a lot of turnovers in the game, so that was part of the reason why they lost like that. Last week, they actually played better, as I showed you, against Arizona. They actually outgained Arizona, and they did not cave in when they were losing 27-3. They came all the way back and almost won the game. So that was a big improvement over their week 1 game. So Carolina's trending in the right direction, and this is a big game for them, bigger than it is for Atlanta. This is the home opener for Carolina too, man. And I still think Carolina, at least their offense, is improving with all this young talent that they have on the offense. Their defense is a problem for sure, but the offense, I think, is ready to go. This total is actually fairly low as well at 44. 71% of tickets, 88% of cash on the over, though. I mean, I could definitely see some arguments for an over in this one because the Panthers' defense is really not good, and their offense might be able to put up some points in this one. But I just like the side, man. In Atlanta, by the way, they did just fire or cut Younghoe Koo for not talking about Charlie Kirk, but for that. Just he hasn't been good. He hasn't been a good kicker, man. He basically blew the potential tie at the end of that first week game where Atlanta, again, they had the lead against Tampa Bay really late in the game. Tampa Bay scored to take the lead back, and then Atlanta quickly drove into field goal range again in a dome, and Koo, who's been good for them for years at this point, blew that. It was a 44-yard field goal, makeable field goal in a dome, tried to tie the game. He blew it, and then he, I guess, must have not kicked well last week either because they got rid of him. So apparently the new kicker is Romo. I don't know who the hell that is. It's Tony Romo. No, I have no idea who it is, but the Falcons, we'll see if their kicker might struggle a little bit too. So that's something to just be aware of, I guess, that maybe Atlanta's kicking situation might have some issues potentially. We'll see. But that's going to do it, man. That's the entire board there. Once again, the plays are the ugliest plays imaginable, so enjoy. The Cleveland Browns +7.5, the New York Jets +6.5, and Carolina Panthers +5. Don't you love it? Like John Gruden says, do you like it or do you love it? And that's what we're going with. Oh, thank you, Charles. You're betting on the Jets? Let's hope for it, man. I hope it happens. I think the Jets might be the strongest of the three, actually, because it has that extra injured player component to it. The kicker is a pretty solid job, man. Like, you don't get hit. and you don't have to be used that much, but you do have pressure on you when the moment is right. You got pressure on you. Reed Harden is our resident Tampa Bay fan. He doesn't like this play. But hey, man, Tampa can win and not cover, right? So you could get that, although I don't want Tampa to win because I don't like them. That's why he hates me for that. But I'm going to root for the Jets all the way, baby. Every week I'm going to root for the Jets. How about that? Once again, if it happens, it happens, man. We'll see what happens. There's the shirt for you, man. Take the screenshots of it. We'll get the screenshots later. The video will be up. You'll take that. See the Jets. What? You want my biceps? They're weak, man. I don't have much of a bicep. I can't do shit with my biceps. The left one's even worse, probably. I don't know. Not much going on with that. I can't really flex either. I got to use the weights behind me even more. I'm using them a little bit. That's going to do it, man. Hopefully we get some wins here. Learn to Toad on Twitter, of course. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Late night again, not as late as last night. The college football show goes forever. The NFL one's easier to do. Bettor Off Dead, of course, here. Like, subscribe to the channel. Tell everybody about it. Hopefully people like it. I know it's very long-winded. Want to get some wins. Today was a good day, man. We're on a nice little run the last few days, so let's keep it going. Winning at least 3 of the last 4 days at this point. We won. Today was a pretty substantial win, 5-2. So, and it should have been better than that. Fucking Miami, Ohio, man. And even Florida could have come through. It could have been a 7-0 sweep of the board. It was not that far off from being that. Bettor Off Dead. Also on audio, you can review. Give me a good review as I'm belching, of course, because of this coffee wrecking my digestive system. Go, give me a good review on Apple, Spotify, whatever, both. And those are monetized, so anybody listening over there, it helps. So pass that around. Covered in Uke, my ukulele project on YouTube. You can check that out as well. Patreon.com/LearnToToad, and there's bonus Uke content over there. So more protein. I do eat, high percentage of my diet is protein. I eat meat and eggs, man. That's what I do. Had a lot today, too. Panthers, Browns, and Jets. That's right. It's how you got to attack the NFL, man. It's never too long. Oh, well, thank you. What do you mean Florida sucked? Florida was within 6 points with 4 minutes left in that game. They were down 13-7 with 4 minutes left. I'm not going to say they should have covered, but they definitely could have covered in that game. I told you their defense would at least hold Miami's offense down a bit. Like, if you told me Miami was going to score 26 in the game or that Miami was going to have 13 points with 4 minutes left in the game, then hell yeah, Florida plus 7.5. I didn't expect Florida to just not even get on the board, at all, basically. That was not what I expected. Let's get some NFL wins, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow because I got to get MLB. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball in the morning. We have WNBA playoffs resuming tomorrow. WNBA was off today, but there are going to be playoffs. The semifinals, I believe, are tomorrow. We're already down to just the final 4, I think, in the WNBA. It's real quick, man. So we'll see if I can find any angles there. Peace for now.